I'll bring in legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala to talk more about Dr. Magudumana's application, which will come before the High Court this week in Bloemfontein. A very good evening to you, Mpumelelo. Always good to speak to you. So, are we any clearer at this stage, now that government has also responded to Magudumana's application, on how this case is likely to play out this week?
Good evening to you and also to your viewers. I think we are. If you look at the matter and what the court would generally look at, the court says, we want to see the agency. Are you going to suffer irreparable harm? Is there other alternative remedies which are available to you? Is there another dispute resolution forum that you could have gone to? Let's also look at the time factor. From the cause of the concern or from the date in which your problem started up until now, what have you done to make sure that you're able to resolve these particular issues? On that issue, we're looking at the agency. It may be an urgent process to you, but to us as the court is not, because if it was really urgent, you should have brought in this application within 48 hours or even a week before after you were arrested. So on that basis, we're not going to entertain your particular matter. But let's also look at the manner in which the alternative remedies that are available in this case. You have a bail application that you could have attended so that you're able to be out there and enjoy your freedom while being able to access to all these things which are explained here. But another concerning one is the manner in which, or the words that have been used in that particular application, which is abduction. It's a totally different meaning to being kidnapped. So on those bases, the court may go back and say, especially on this basis, we are going to dismiss your matter for a lack of agency, come back on another day, and not in an urgent application, and then you can be able to entertain whether you were sent from Tanzania to South Africa in a proper manner.
And you mentioned the word abduction, and there have been three words I've seen being mixed up over the course of the weekend: abduction, extradition, deportation. They don't all mean the same thing, correct?
Definitely. Once you say abduction, it means there must be some sort of marriage which was going to take place. There are some type of sexual connotations which are going to be linked to it at a later stage. Now, kidnapping is the most appropriate one because it says you're taken without your will, you've been deprived out of your freedom, which would have been the most appropriate word to use here, because you must be clear to the court. You are the one who's coming to the court. You must have your story carefully stated out as to why you are there. Secondly, once you say extradition, that means there are a number of pre-litigation processes that have to be done before you're extradited from one country to another. And that's where the Dr. Magudumana is looking at, because she's alleging that you should have extradited me rather than to say, I'm deported, I'm being deported. But once it comes to deportation, which I think the South African government is going to say, you were deported from Tanzania, you were not simply extradited from it. It's the country in which you are found in, which is going to say, because you are here without a valid cause, because you are here without the appropriate papers and permits, we are sending you back to your countries, back to sender. We do not want you to remain in this particular country. And once you land in South Africa, only then you can be charged, and the whole process of executing a warrant of arrest can then be done and dusted. So if you haven't got those processes clearly stated out in that founding affidavit, which is the tell-all when it comes to the court, and the only one in which you will have an opportunity to present your case in terms of saying, here are my rights. I can only come to you in this particular forum in order for them to be defended. There's no other place that I can go to. I need my freedom of movement. Can you please assist me? If there is an alternative, as there is in this case, which is a bail application, then the court will simply say, you know what, go and apply for bail first, and then you can come back with all the relevant information and be able to deal with all the other issues of concerns that you might have.
And if her passport is revoked, Mpumelelo, how will that factor into how the High Court might look upon a bail application if ultimately that becomes her last set of recourse, shall we say, before this case can even go to trial?
In fact, that's her sister, because if you look at Section 6 of the Criminal Procedure Act, bail, you would look, and one of the conditions would be, can you please surrender your bail or travel and documents so that you cannot travel to another country? You must then be able to attend or be able to report on a daily basis to a police station. Those are the normal type of conditions which are generally issued. So if the bail is revoked, then it does assist her, because she's going to say, I do not have any means to travel out of this country. I'm going to stay here. I have my family here, I have my business here. All my family ties are in South Africa, so I have no cause of concern in terms of going to another country. Yes, it might have been that I was caught in another country which might be seemed as if I was running away, but please afford me my right of being innocent until proven guilty. Deal with that at a later stage. Right now, we're only dealing with proven processes and proven things, and one of the things which have been proven at the moment is that I do not have a criminal record if she doesn't have one, and I do not intend to leave any to go to any other country than to remain in South Africa. So on that basis, I'm going to remain and be subject or adhere to any bail condition that you might give to me.
We had a guest on the show last night who was saying, look, even if Magudumana were to be successful, for example, in making the case around an unlawful arrest, it may lead to a scenario where local authorities could as easily arrest her and charge her for the same alleged offences on the steps of the courthouse. Is that the most accurate depiction of what would happen even if she were to win this round?
It would be, but I think it would be more careful this time in terms of saying, we want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. Remember, the process of arresting someone, it's one of the mechanisms in which we're able to bring them into court. So you do not necessarily have to put them in handcuffs and say to them, please go on, and we need to arrest you so that we're able to effect whatever investigation that there is. If there are any allegations which are against you and that you must come and answer to in court, arrest is one of the forms in which they secure the attendance or your attendance to attend those particular bail proceedings. So they might not use those extreme measures in terms of arresting you in terms of the steps of the court, but definitely there is a matter in which I think she has to answer to. I think the state would not spend as much time and effort in making sure that they attend to a continuous court proceedings. They're able to provide information now and again. In fact, we had a whole press conference which was dedicated to her today. If there was really nothing that she really needs to answer to. So on that basis, I think the state is going to go all out in terms of saying, let's defend this urgent application. We do not want this person to go out on a technicality like this. If it means that she must be given her freedom, it must be through bail conditions, which is something which is available to her at a later stage. But for now, we are going to protect ourselves because we solely believe that there's a matter, or the merits of the matter actually favor the state.
The Home Affairs Department lastly finds it odd that it was not cited in these papers by Magudumana's legal team. Is that something that something that the court is likely to take issue with, given that they would be dealing with anything related to deportation to go through that channel normally?
I think maybe it would depend on the role which is played by the Home Affairs Department when it comes to whatever processes are there. Maybe they may be correct in terms of saying we are the custodians of any traveling documents. So if there are allegations that the traveling documents were obtained illegally, then we should be there so that we are able to answer. But if we have nothing to answer to, in this case, I think the doctor is not referring to the Department of Home Affairs. She's simply saying the manner in which you have removed from Tanzania to South Africa is unlawful. Hence, you are dealing with fruits from a poisonous tree. You cannot deal with this matter anymore. So the role of the involvement of Home Affairs currently, I think it has no bearing whatsoever in the application which is taking place, unless if there's an allegation that says, I had my passport and every traveling documents carefully okayed. There was nothing wrong with it, and it was a case of mistaken identity or mistaken explanation that just took place. I can be able to prove at a later stage that I had a valid passport that enabled me to travel into Tanzania. Only then would you say maybe the misjoinder which is being alleged by the department is correctly placed. But for now, I think this particular matter has nothing to do with them.
Mpumelelo Zikalala, good to have your time. Thank you so much, legal analyst, speaking to us on News at Prime.